Good morning, it's Julie Johnson and welcome to COFIGHT-19's Pathway to Parenting Family Living podcast. Just as we did yesterday, we're going to start by practicing prioritising our needs as parents by checking in right now at this very moment. So stop whatever you're doing for just one moment and choose one of the following questions to ask yourself. Feel free to press pause to allow time to really check in. So asking yourself, how am I doing right now in this moment? What sensations or emotions am I aware of in my body? What is one thing I feel good about from the last few days? What do I need to help me look after myself today? You can come back to these at the end of the day or at the end of this podcast and just reflect on those 4 key questions. But yesterday we focused on how we can use structure to bring back a sense of control that we may have felt that we've recently lost in our lives. Today we're going to challenge the negative thinking that often results from feeling that we're out of control of our actions and decision making. You may be very familiar with this and possibly adept at this form of thinking. It's self-criticism, the evil twin of self-compassion. One of the questions from our reflections at the start of this podcast was, how am I doing? For many of us, when the answer to that question is not very well, we instantly launch into a barrage of criticism, beating ourselves up, feeling we are a useless parent or an inadequate human being. When members of our family are pushing the buttons that only they can push, we may find ourselves wishing we'd never had children, experiencing powerful emotions such as anger and resentment towards them or our partners. Now, this is standard in normal everyday life. However, with the impact of COVID-19, being stuck in our homes in close proximity with our families 24 hours a day, may very well be in danger of beating ourselves up on a grand scale. This in turn then makes us feel even worse, beginning a vicious cycle of powerful, potentially destructive emotions and harsh self-criticism. But let's stop for a moment and question the logic of this. Why on earth do we believe that giving ourselves a mega tongue lashing will stop us from making more mistakes? How could it ever achieve anything more substantial than making us feel absolutely dreadful about ourselves? Making mistakes is a vital part of being human. And crazy as it sounds, scientists have actually found an evidence of a mistake centre within the brain. Many teachers nowadays actively encourage children to use their mistakes as an opportunity for positive self-reflection, as we know that is where the greatest learning opportunities lie. One of the problems with harsh self-criticism is it activates the survival system, the flight or fight mechanism which floods our thinking brain with powerful stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, getting us ready to attack when we're threatened or to run from danger. The flip side of this excellent important system is it shuts down creativity, reducing our capacity to think clearly. Creativity and a capacity to think clearly is so important now when we're trying to get used to the many changes brought about by self-isolation. This is when we'll frequently be getting things wrong, possibly, feeling overwhelmed and comparing ourselves to others, to friends, to people on social media, and for whom many this seems to be plain sailing. Life has changed dramatically and can be a real struggle, but struggling does not mean failing, it means being human. Imagine a friend comes to you suffering over a mistake they'd make. How would you respond? Would you give them a verbal beating? Would you shout at them, tell them they're useless, reduce them to tears and tell them they're a rubbish parent? I doubt it. We would empathise with them, appreciate and understand how they're feeling, possibly because we've been there ourselves. With that same empathy, we reach out to them. We want to alleviate their suffering, show them care, compassion, kindness in this moment. Compassion is noticing, becoming aware of the suffering of another and desire to help them relieve that suffering. When we practice compassion, we notice the suffering of another. We become aware of their situation. We appreciate how they may feel, experiencing a warmth towards that person and a desire to help in some way to alleviate their suffering. Having compassion towards others means we can offer care and understanding when they make mistakes, rather than immediately judging or criticising. It's the realisation and acceptance that we are all imperfect and fallible. We all have the ability to fail, And this is a profound part of what makes us human. And what happens when we show compassion and understanding to a friend, it releases them from self-criticism and frees them to move forward and from their mistakes. So already we know how to show compassion to others, but when we are the ones who've made a mistake, when we need to show self-compassion to ourselves. So tomorrow is part 2. We will turn our attention towards us, to ourselves, and look at how bringing self-compassion into our daily lives. For this moment, pause and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Stay well and see you tomorrow.